Hi everyone, this is our channel, Around My Story. Please like, share and subscribe.
Hello there, my name is Pearls. The first day of my professional life was the worst professional day ever. During my first year at college, I wanted to spare my parents some of the expenses. So I took a job, and it happened to be the closest thing I could get to my dream job. It was an office that was mainly concerned with planning fashion shows. I know I was only an intern at the moment, but I have never been so excited in my life. I was actually studying fashion designing, so lucky me. But since we all know that life isn't always pink and roses, I had a repulsive boss. Let's call her Jane. I was Employee of the Month 3 times in a row. My life couldn't get any better. Well, except for Jane, who always thought I made her the worst coffee ever, yet she still drinks it. The closest colleague I had at work was a guy named Mark. I also had a tiny little crush on him, but that is not our point here. Anyways, I was supposed to organize a huge event. And so Jane sent an extra long office wide email giving out details about the event and the brand and who was assigned to do what. I was ecstatic. I was running around the office like a busy bee that had to make sure everything was in place. After a long, tiring day, I was at my desk, rereading the email she sent and enjoying a good cup of coffee. And guess what? Jane had about a gazillion typos, and to be honest, I wanted something to cool me off after doing so much. And being the smart employee that I am, I wanted to crack a good joke and maybe, just maybe, get Mark to laugh. I wrote a sarcastic, full of mockery email, and once I've hit send, I heard gasps echoing around the office, and I realized that I had clicked reply all. Jane called and wanted to see me at her office. My knees were all spaghetti like, and I wore my heart down my sleeve. And to my greatest surprise, Jane took it too well. She told me, and I'm quoting, "I think you have a great sense of humor." She even offered me to become her own personal assistant and the big event hostess. And not after a long time, Jane had ruined my promotion happiness. She showered me with paperwork that I had to stay up until 1 in the morning to get done. And when the big day was finally here and I was getting ready for the event, I got a bit too excited and I went to the office all dressed up. I saw Mark and tried to act as smooth as I could. Well, I tripped over and I ripped off my dress. Jane came out of her office at the same exact moment, and again she saved my life. She lent me one of her super expensive dresses that I'm sure it cost her a big fortune. And that, my friends, was one mistake that I have totally nailed.
I am Hannah, 25 years old, living with my mother and my little son, Felix. Felix is 6 years old. Do not be surprised that I am young and have a son. I lived a great love story with Felix's father, Michael. I was a high school student and he was an army conscript. We met at a party at a mutual friend's. As soon as I saw him, I felt like my heart was dancing. We talked a lot and laughed. We didn't leave each other until dawn. Since that day, we have been like souls in one body, and we decided to get married. My family objected, a lot because I was still young. But Michael supported me and convinced me that true love must end with a happy marriage. We got married, and I lived the best year with Michael. We got the happy news that I was pregnant. Michael was full of happiness. He was caring of everything, the details of my eating, drinking, medication, and health. I felt that Michael was an angel in human form, came to compensate me for the death of my father. But one day he received a summons letter. He left me and told me to take care of myself and my health. I told him to take care of himself. He smiled and said, "No one will take care of our son except for me. I will be back." 2 months passed. I received a letter from a recruit informing me of the shocking news. Michael died in a military operation. Do you know when you feel that time has stopped you, that lost sense of life and decided to commit suicide more than once, completely forgetting what was in my belly because of my great sadness of Michael? And without my mom, I would have committed suicide. Mom stood by my side and encouraged me to go through the stage. And she told me that Michael had dreamed that his son would be delivered safely and that I would protect him. I got over my shock and began to take care of my health and my coming son. And on a great day, Felix arrived, as if fate had decided to reconcile with me and send Michael again. Felix was a mini replica of Michael, the same laughter, the same tenderness as me, but Felix was very naughty. Naughty in a tired way. He loves to run and try anything. He could put himself in danger, and I had to be focused with him all the time and care to save him if he hurt himself. Year after year, I see him growing up in front of me. Michael's dreams of him growing up with him. As he grew up, his naughtiness grew with him. It is very normal to find a nail in his hand and he tries to insert it into an electrical plug, or he tries to climb out of the balcony wall. I move it at the speed of supermothers and save him, and I catch him at the last second. This was a summary of my life while he was growing up, until I was exposed to the most difficult situation any mother could go through. Their son's life is in danger. And before you can accuse me of negligence, I admit my mistake. But first listen to what happened. Before anything, Mom was traveling for my sister, and I was used when I go shopping to get anything, to leave Felix with her, to take care of him, and she honestly used to make every effort with him. On that day, she was not there. I had no solution other than taking him with me. I will not tell you about the tormented journey while dressing him. We were getting down the elevator, and he was trying to press its buttons. The elevator guard was also trying to stop him with me. By some miracle, we arrived and moved. I will not tell you what we did while we were in the supermarket, but I will tell you briefly that it was a disaster by all standards. We all joined as women in the market to prevent him from messing the shelves. Felix is a real moving machine of destruction. I was thinking of the return trip. After accidents that don't need to be explained, we returned home. The elevator guard ran quickly to help me. Felix was bothering me more. He moved, left the elevator door open, and came to help me. Suddenly, I didn't notice the catastrophe that was seconds away from happening. Felix saw the elevator door open. He ran quickly and entered inside. I noticed him at the last second while he was pressing all the buttons. With my screams, the door closed. I ran and left everything. I was pressing the buttons, trying to open it, but it started to go up. I didn't know what to do, especially since every little bit the direction changes up and down. Suddenly, another catastrophe happened. The electricity was cut off. The signal disappeared at once. The guard was very shocked. I literally felt that my soul was coming out, and we did not know which floor he was stuck in. We started to call out, but unfortunately there was no response. The fear now is of more than one thing. Felix could suffocate in the elevator because of the lack of ventilation. And the cursed problem that the guard said is that the elevator cables needed maintenance. So at any moment the cables could collapse, and at that time he will descend. I closed my eyes when I imagined the situation in this way, and said to the guard that we have to save him by any means. The guard told me that we have to know first on which floor. We ran up the stairs as crazy people. Every floor I knocked on the door and called out to Felix until we reached the 11th floor. I knocked on the door, feeling that my heart would stop with terror, and called out with all my might, "Felix! Felix!" I heard a weak voice calling and saying, "Yes, Mom, I'm here. I'm afraid." What I was afraid of happened. Felix is stuck between the 11th and 12th floors. If I do not find a solution quickly, the matter could be much more dangerous. The guard asks me, "What are we going to do?" I told him, "I will rescue him in any way." He said, "Impossible. He is between 2 floors, and we need someone to locate him exactly." I shouted at him and told him that if we wait for the fire department to come and save him, his life will be in danger. Please help me, especially since time is running out and we have to move very quickly. We got to the 11th floor. He said it is an attempt to get someone into the elevator, and I'll try to pull him with a crowbar to any of the 2 floors, but I'll open the door, and that's how the problem will be solved. It is theoretically possible, but practically, I don't know whether it will work or not. I told him, "Come on quickly, I will enter the elevator," he said, "but the jump is very dangerous." I told him that my son's life is more important than me. He grabbed a piece of iron with which he opened the door, and I looked to find that it was not small distance to the top of the elevator. He said the elevator was a hole above. Take this to open it. I told him I'll try. I started to put my feet down and go down slowly towards the elevator. Suddenly, I felt something pass over my hands. It was a mouse. I screamed and suddenly left my hands. I was falling on the roof of the elevator and the guard was screaming and telling me to be careful. The elevator swayed hard, and I heard Felix scream from the inside. He was saying, "Mom, what is happening? Save me!" I told him, "Don't be afraid, Felix." Unfortunately, the iron piece fell for me when I fell, and I didn't know how to open it. There is a lock on it. I started hitting it with my legs forcefully, but with every hit, the elevator was vibrating more, as if it going to fall. I don't know what to do, and it is getting more serious. I looked at the sky and said, "My God, help me." I hit the lock. It opened, and the roof hole opened. I found Felix sitting, squatting. He was crying. First he saw me. He said, "Mom." I smiled to reassure him and told him not to worry. I'm trying to get down, and I'm afraid the elevator will fall. I moved with every calculated step and went down to Felix, who ran on me and hugged me, and he and I began crying. But the danger is still there. This is just a step. I called the guard and told him, "Pull us." He said, "I'm ready," and moved quickly to the spinning wheel to move the elevator. The elevator shook hard and started to descend at a frightening speed. Felix and I were screaming inside, and the guard was saying, "No!" Suddenly, the light came back on again, and the elevator stopped. Felix and I opened our eyes, and we couldn't move. I stepped on the elevator buttons, and we miraculously reached the ground floor. We opened the door and found all the residents of the building standing. The news spread, and it turned into a state of general anxiety. Of course, I heard some kind of talk, but did not take care of it. You are neglected. But I literally did not think about all this talk. The most important thing for me was the safety of my son, and I did not deny that I had to take care of it after that and be more focused. I could not forget this situation, but my advice to you is, take care of your children. These are the most important things in your entire life. And do not be like me, so that you do not put yourself in a situation in which you will be between heaven and earth.